Everything you were taught about biology is a lie. You do not have one brain, you have two. And the second one? It is arguably more powerful than the first. It operates independently, it has its own memory, and it controls you more than you control it. That sudden anxiety, that gut feeling about a stranger, that deep depression, that isn't just in your head. That is a chemical command coming from your stomach. Ignore it, and your health collapses. Learn to listen to it, and you unlock a hidden superpower. But here's the thing. For centuries, doctors treated the gut like simple plumbing. They thought it just digested food. They were dead wrong. Because hidden within the walls of your intestines lies a network so complex that it shouldn't exist outside the skull. It is an alien intelligence inside you. And the story of how we found it? It involves a severed nerve and a career ruined. You won't believe where this leads, so we have to go back to the beginning. Welcome to the world of standard anatomy, where the brain is king and the body is just a slave. This is the cranial bias, the belief that all thought, emotion, and control starts up here. The gut? It was viewed as a dumb tube, a sewage pipe, necessary but mindless. Because of this arrogance, we missed the obvious clues staring us in the face, like, why do people with anxiety almost always have stomach issues? Doctors called it psychosomatic. They said it was all in your head. They were lying. Millions were prescribed antidepressants that didn't work, diets that failed. The villain wasn't a virus. It was our own ignorance. We were treating the puppet, not the puppeteer. Throughout history, a few rebels tried to warn us. In the 1900s, British physiologists noticed something weird about a piece of intestine. They cut every nerve connecting it to the brain, and yet, it kept working. It digested food, it moved, it reacted, without a single command from the brain. But the scientific community? They buried the research. It didn't fit the brain is king narrative. For decades, the gut remained a mystery, a black box. Until one man decided to open the box, and what he found inside terrified him. Enter Dr. Michael Gershon, the man who would become the father of the second brain. Gershon wasn't looking for a brain, he was looking for neurotransmitters. He was an outsider, a rebel in a lab coat. And in the 1960s, he asked a dangerous question. Where is the body's serotonin? Everyone knew it was a brain chemical, obviously. But when Gershon tracked the serotonin, the trail didn't lead to the head, it led down, deep into the intestinal lining. He checked the data again. 95%. That is the number. 95% of your body's serotonin is not in your brain, it is in your gut. He had found the chemical smoking gun. This was huge. Serotonin regulates mood. So why was the gut hoarding it all? He presented his findings. He expected applause. He got ridicule. One colleague told him, "Michael, don't be an idiot. The gut is just a tube." But Gershon knew better. He looked closer at the tissue. He didn't just find chemicals, he found neurons, millions of them. Neurons are brain cells. They don't belong in the stomach. Yet there they were, 100 million neurons. That is more than you have in your spinal cord. That is more than a cat's brain. You have a cat's brain in your belly. This network is called the Enteric Nervous System, the ENS. And unlike any other part of your body, the ENS doesn't need the brain. If you cut the vagus nerve, your heart stops, your lungs stop. But the gut? It keeps going. It digests, it senses, it reacts. Gershon had proved the anatomy, but he hadn't proved the function. And that is where the data stopped making sense. The gut wasn't just moving food, it was sending signals up to the brain. This was heresy. The brain talks, the body listens. That is the law. But the signals were screaming. 90% of the traffic wasn't going down, it was going up, from the gut to the head. The team panicked. Was the equipment broken? Was this noise? If they were right, neurology was wrong. If they were wrong, their careers were over. Funding dried up. Journals rejected the papers. The silence was deafening. But they couldn't ignore the vagus nerve, the main cable. They dissected the fibers. They counted them, one by one. The results were undeniable. The brain isn't the general. The brain is the listener. The gut is the talker. This was the breakthrough. The gut-brain axis wasn't a monologue. It was a conversation, and the gut was doing most of the talking. This changed everything. It meant your stomach feels things before your head does. The second brain wasn't a myth. It was a biological supercomputer. But how? How does a pile of intestines think? Let's look under the hood. To understand this, you need to stop thinking about digestion. Think about a chemical factory, the largest one on Earth. Your gut lining is packed with specialized cells called enterochromaffin cells. These guys are the workers. They taste everything you eat. Detect a toxin? They send a vomit signal to the brain instantly. Detect sugar? They send a dopamine hit. That's why comfort food comforts. But it's not just food, it's bacteria. Imagine your gut is a garden. The bacteria are the gardeners. There are trillions of them. More than human cells in your entire body. And here is where you need to reset everything you know about you. You aren't a single individual. You are a walking colony. These bacteria don't just live there. They hack your nervous system. They produce neurotransmitters to manipulate your brain. 50% of your dopamine, 95% of your serotonin, made by them for them. Why? To survive. If they crave sugar, they release chemicals to make you crave sugar. You don't want the donut. They do. The vagus nerve is their telephone line to your headquarters. And they are calling 24/7, changing your mood, changing your mind. This is the gut-brain axis, the most powerful connection in your body. But here is the twist. This connection isn't just about food. It is about your personality, your deepest fears, your very identity. Have you ever had a gut feeling that something was wrong? That is the second brain processing data your conscious mind missed. It analyzes millions of danger signals in nanoseconds. It doesn't speak in words, it speaks in feelings, and it's almost always right. But when this system breaks, the consequences are terrifying. Scientists are now finding the second brain might be the source of brain diseases. Parkinson's disease? We used to think it started here. New evidence suggests it starts in the gut and travels up. 10 years before the first tremor, the second brain was already dying. This is the game changer. We have been treating mental illness at the wrong end of the body. Depression isn't just a chemical imbalance in your head. It's an inflamed gut screaming for help. Fix the gut, and you might just fix the mind. But before you run to buy probiotics, stop. There is a dark side to this. If your gut controls your mind, what happens when someone else controls your gut? This isn't sci-fi. It's happening now. It's called fecal microbiota transplantation. Yes, poop transplants. Taking gut bacteria from a healthy person and putting it into a sick one. It saves lives from deadly infections, but it opened a terrifying door. In one case, a woman received a transplant from an overweight donor. She became obese. In another, a patient got a transplant from a depressed donor. They became depressed. We aren't just transferring bacteria, we are transferring personality traits. This is the frontier of biohacking, and right now, it's the Wild West. People are trying DIY treatments at home. The results are unpredictable. Science is racing to catch up, to create rules before we accidentally rewrite who we are. But despite the risks, for the millions suffering right now, this isn't a game. Take Sarah, 32 years old, crippling anxiety since she was a teenager. She tried every pill, every therapist. Nothing touched the constant knot of fear in her stomach. Doctors told her it was treatment resistant, that she would just have to live with it. Then, she found a doctor who didn't look at her head. He looked at her gut. Tests revealed her microbiome was a wasteland. The gardeners were gone. They didn't prescribe Prozac. They prescribed a radical change in diet and specific bacteria. It wasn't overnight. It was a war of attrition inside her body. But by week 6, Sarah noticed something strange. Silence. The constant alarm bell in her gut had stopped ringing, for the first time in 15 years. She wasn't cured by fixing her brain, she was cured by fixing her second brain. Sarah's story is the future of medicine, and that future is already here. Imagine a world 10 years from now. Psychobiotics are common. You don't take drugs to numb your brain, you take bacteria to heal your foundation. Your doctor doesn't just ask how you feel, they sequence your gut. But this discovery does something even bigger. It forces us to redefine human. We are not solitary beings, we are ecosystems. We are holobionts. Our health, our mood, our very thoughts are a collaboration with trillions of alien lives. For centuries, we looked up at the stars to find alien intelligence. We should have been looking inside. This deep dive into the second brain took hundreds of hours of research. If you want to support this type of content, the best way is to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a gut feeling that turned out to be right? Let me know down below. And if you thought the second brain was wild, you need to see what scientists just discovered hiding in your DNA. Click here to watch that next.